Am I audible?
Yes, audible.
はい。はい。POI は、声でお願いします。Right. Starting in 3, 2, 1, go. When kids take naughty behavior, they face social sanctions. They face less academic rigors, and they face less education, or they face less employment. And we think we can uniquely avoid those situations on our side of house. Proudly propose. Three things in my speech. Firstly, setup. Secondly, principle, why parents should have right to do so. Thirdly, why practically speaking, we can make better situations for kids. Firstly, setup. There are 3 points to set up. Firstly, is that what does this pill look like? We think this is something that changes kids' preferences, that encourages that makes kids prioritize good manners over bad manners. For example, they subconsciously think that the drugs are bad. You should never drink underage, or you should listen to teachers. You should attend schools, etc. But second thing to set up is that we think this good manners will normalize over time and is going to be ingrained in children's mind even after they become an adult. This is for 2 reasons. Firstly, it's because they will do that for like 18 years or at least like a decade or something. They will get used to it. This becomes a habit. They will think it is counterintuitive to not attend school. It is counterintuitive to use drugs or things like that. But second reason is that probably they will be praised for good manners over the course of 18 years. They are praised by teachers. They are praised by their parents that they attended a school or they got a good grades in academically, things like that. This makes a dopamine hits within their mind, and they will evolve these characteristics that they obey the good manners. The third thing to set up is that probably the rules to which this pill is going to the rules that this pill is going to make people obey is something good and generally agreeable upon society. That's to say, this is about general basic rules, as InfoSlide suggests. This is about obeying the law. This is about, do not discriminate other people disproportionately, things like that. Okay, with that being said, 2 arguments. Firstly, principle. So, yes, go, Steele.
If praising children can make dopamine hit and make them like do socially good behavior, what is the necessity of the pill?
Well, there is no point to praise kids on your side of house because they do the delinquent thing. All right. Argument, principle. We think this is just an extension of what parents can already do under the status quo. They can stipulate the languages that kids speak. They can stipulate the address where children are going to live, and also they can stipulate the religion that they have to practice. Notably, religion is important because you literally stipulate their ways of thinking. You impose certain types of values and thoughts onto these children, and they are still allowed to do that under the status quo. And the same goes with education. You literally impose values, and you're still allowed to do that. You can send your kids to whatever school you want them to go or whatnot. We think this pill is going to change kids' preferences, and we think that's no qualitative difference among the pill and education and religion. And for that reason, we think parents do have right to do that because this is just an extension of already existing rights. But crucially, secondly, I just want to talk about why this is going to be practically beneficial for kids. And there are 3 structural reasons why this is going to be better. First of all, is that we can avoid unlawful behavior that children will necessarily take. Some children will necessarily take on their side of house. First reason for that, first example and benefit for that is that they will probably not consume illegal drugs or illegally drinking alcohol underage, things like that. Notably, when you break the law, when you use drugs, you're going to face prison sentences. You're going to be in prison, and also you're going to face social sanctions because you have been jobless for a certain period of years. You have no skill sets available, and also people are going to criticize you. People are going to think you are like outlaws. Therefore, corporations will hesitate from employing you on their side of house. And the results of that is that you have to live paycheck to paycheck, or you have to engage in dangerous mundane jobs, and you cannot really save up money. If you come down with disease, you have to rely on your savings, and you'll have difficulty putting food on the table, and that's incredibly bad. Comparative on our side of house is that they are not going to do that, right? They're not going to do illegal things, and they may say that they are going to use drug after they become an adult or something like that. This is it is crucially important that you do not do that under 18, because under 18, being in prison or facing massive social sanction means that you're not going to be able to receive proper education, and we think that ruins your life. The second benefit we can claim is that you can basically attend school and get some education and get some knowledge. This means you'll be more employable on our side of house. On their side of house, probably they don't go to school, things like that, and they don't receive education. And in that situation, corporations probably don't want to employ you. But third benefit is that you can avoid digital tattoo. That is to say, when you are young and when you are like out of control, basically, you may be like taking some videos to ridicule the society, or you may shoot yourself bullying other children or something like that, and you spread that on the social media, and this creates a digital tattoo, right? Corporations probably don't want to hire those people because they are simply untrustworthy. But moreover, if you do those digital tattoo things, you face massive death threat on social media. The famous example of that is Shoyu Peropero Shonen on Sushiro, right? Like 5 years ago or something. Those types of people will face massive backlash and death threat, which is incredibly harmful for them. Comparative is that they don't do that, and they can probably live a healthier and decent life. So second types of benefit we can claim then is that we can also deal with we can deal better with abusive parents the opposition might want to claim, right? On their side of house, those kids will do delinquent things constantly, and that will stress out parents. And this is especially true when you consider how hard the parenting is. You have to raise up your children. You have to work at the same time, and also. So let's think about it. If you come back from work, you see your kids breaking the wall or using drugs and whatnot, and you see your kids being in prison, being arrested, you have to go to the police, all the way to the police. You have to pay for compensation. This is going to stress out you, and this gives you a further reasons to abuse your children. And that means on our side of house, you have literally a little reason for you to be stressed out and beat up your children. We think that's even better, even if this is going to be used by abusive parents. But third type of benefit we can claim is that this is going to be better for minority. On their side of house, probably minority kids in the area in which education isn't really valued, or in the area in which there's a narrative that you don't have to listen to teachers or like that. Those type of children will go to school, will receive education, have more academic background, and have less chances for conservative to say that they are fucking stupid or whatnot. All of those reasons proposed.
I thank the speaker for the speech, and just want to note that any remarks after the 7:15 will be taken into the consideration. With that said, I'd like to invite the leader of our opposition to continue this debate.
My gender pronouns is he, him. If you have POIs, please put it on chat. あんま POI いじめないでほしいです。Okay. I'll start my speech in 3, 2, 1. In order for OG to unlock the impact that all what's coming from like Prime Minister, they have to explain why these parents are going to keep on giving this medicine 24/7 in order for them to prevent their kids from doing bad things. But B, they have to mechanize and substantiate well enough to explain why these parents have the capacity to give medicine at the moment when children are going to do bad things. I think it's not a likely scenario in government to protect the world where these parents have the capacity to do so. Because I think I will give you several reasons why these parents are not likely to first of all, opt into using this medicine at the first place, but second of all, they're not going to get this 24/7 at the end of the day. First of all, why would almost all the parents would not choose to use this medicine at the get-go? They're simply not sure whether this medicine is safe or not. I don't necessarily see why manipulating people's mind in a way such as their thoughts or cognitive biases is going to make parents believe the credibility of this medicine. I think OG has the burden to prove why parents are going to use this medicine necessarily when when just the government says that, oh, it's okay to use this medicine, right? I think there needs a substantiation. But B, it's simply scary. Intuitively speaking, it's simply scary to see your kids being brainwashed by a medicine, right? It's quite difficult. It's quite scary to see your children like behaving in a way that is different to usual. I think parents are hesitant to use this medicine at the get-go. But even if I concede that these parents are going to use this, A, benevolent parents who have decent incentive to teach children about what is good and bad are not going to opt into this medicine, because I think they feel like it's more intuitive and it's more effective to teach themselves, teach like what is good and bad themselves, than using the medicine and relying on it. So who is the actor that we should debate within this debate is mainly about these malicious parents who are not likely to take care of this children in the status quo. I think OG cannot protect the world where everyone is willing to buy into this medicine at the get-go. Third of all, I'll flip their case about how sanction is likely to happen from the society. We say that receiving sanction is partially important for people especially when they are in adolescence. A, because in many countries, criminal records done in the time of adolescence, which means like 18 years or younger, are likely to be deleted after they become age. It's because A, society anticipates for them coming back to the society. So therefore, government has decent incentive to delete this criminal record from their records. But B, it's simply empirically true that many countries introduce this. But then B, people remember bad memories than good memories that they receive. The simple mechanization from OG about how they're going to be dopamine like hit and they're going to remember how behaving good is good was not enough for me to understand why this medicine is likely to permanently last. But on the comparative on our side of the house, because when you do bad things, simply A, teachers and parents are going to scold at you severely, right? Maybe they're going to yell at you. I think it's more intuitive to think that compared to being praised, you remember the bad memories in the past. But B, even if I take the best case, being put in prison in adolescence is rather good on our side of the house, because if you remember that memory of being put in prison, which is quite harsh. You are like watched 24/7. You are being scolded from the scary guards and so on. I think this terrible memory makes it deterrence for you to do bad things after becoming an age. In that side of the house, because there is no memory such as this being scolded, being like watched by the guard 24/7, they are more likely to do bad things when there is an urge to do bad things after becoming age, and you are not being forced to take this medicine at the get-go. So in order for OG to refute this, is that A, explain why in their side of the house there is going to be a permanent effect of this medicine, or B, refute by saying that good memories override bad memories, which is impossible to do at the end of the day. Second argumentation, I think first of all, like socially acceptable behavior is not always good for the children. This directly engages with OG's analysis, how socially acceptable behavior is always good. Being socially acceptable is fundamentally not always good for children. I recognize that there are some good cases, but note that many parents in the status quo, many children in the status quo already understand that crimes are bad. They should go to school because of the peer pressure, because of the pressure that other people are giving you. So the tipping point of this medicine is when you definitely want to refuse to do something, but you are pushed to do something. For example, A, attendance at school. Maybe you're being bullied. Maybe you have some struggles in school and you do not want to go to school and you are being like absent from school. But parents, they do not know what you're carrying on, so they will just give this medicine to you to become socially acceptable. But at that moment, because parents think it's good for children, they make them take this pill. This becomes counterproductive for children. Note that children are not always stupid to just refuse to go to school for some reasons. They have reasons that they cannot go to school. Parents and teachers are neglecting to ask what happened in school. Rather, they just give this pill and let them go to school. Or B, drug and alcoholism, ways of escaping from the reality. I think that goes the same for the mechanization about the bullying. Because they have some struggles in the status quo, they run into other actions. Other people or third party have to interfere with this problem in order for them to make a fundamental solution. Before moving on, CG.
If it's so hard for children to go to school, to current school, parents is not the bad actor. They care about children. Then parents will let children go to other school, or maybe they will start homeschooling, or they have so many other options to follow socially good behavior.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, if I accept that argumentation, I think nobody's going to give pills anyway, because if all the parents are so benevolent, I think then every parents are going to do the best for their children. But note that the important delta is the malicious parents that are likely to push people into schools, because you have to take many steps in order for you to solve problems that children carry. It's quite difficult, right? So I think it's intuitive to say that people are going to urge children to go to school using this pill, which are malicious. Children are forced to face the situation. Impact is twofold. A, children are forced to face the situation they never wanted to. This falls down to a practical impactation, as OG mentioned, because the surroundings are going to pressure you to go to school and praise you when you go to school. You feel like you cannot opt out from this situation. That makes you a mental burden for you to carry on for the rest of your life. But B, this engages the principle as well. They take up the autonomy of children to escape from something that they do not want to do. They just have to face the struggle every time they've hit this. It's quite severe, and that's like that's not tolerable ways of rejecting the autonomy for children. But B, there's a less possibility of problem solving. And this is going to be explained by my second speaker, but because these children seems okay, they are less incentive and capacity for third party interfering. For example, police or maybe like these educators, they are less likely to interfere because these children seem okay due to the pills. Proud to oppose.
Okay, I thank the speaker for the speech, and now I will welcome the Deputy Prime Minister.
はい、聞こえますでしょうか。
はい、聞こえます。
では、始めます。So I'll look at broadly two areas. Firstly, establishing a stronger principle around why citizens a boundary of parental rights. Secondly, I'll talk about how this benefits children and the society in general, because we're not just talking about extreme behaviors that lead to digital tattoos. We think that children who inevitably are lazy, say careless things, put a scar on themselves, be unhealthy in the future, or put scars on others, decrease. And we think that children benefit from that fact, but also communities around the world benefit from that fact. Rebuttals before I go on. First, so they say that, well, how do you give this pill? One, they will not give this pill. You can't give this pill 24/7. First, let's not challenge the fiat. I think we can reasonably assume this pill is relatively strong. I also think the cost is not an issue of the debate. I hope not. Like, we think this is the same as a vaccine in the same way as this is. You can take it without cost. It's to a great extent effective, and in the same way. They also said people might refuse. Sure, let the denialists shout. That doesn't deny the fact that the overriding majority would prefer to take this pill. Like, the minority shouting, like, that's the same, the status quo is vaccines. I don't think that makes a material difference in the debate. But furthermore, parents want their children to be in a good behavior. They also don't want trouble with their children doing delinquent activities. So there's a general tendency that parents would want to take it. There will be statistics or evidence or surveys or papers establishing the effect and the less limited side effects of it. So I also don't buy that. Second, they also said that prisons are better if they're delinquents. First of all, if you're not inclined to do it anyway, then you'd probably not go to prison anyway. So better not go to prison. But even if we can see that, they would go, and it's a versus between not taking it, and there might be consequences, prison inevitably means your lifetime is lost. You are segregated in a community of people that have social scars, that may have delinquent activities or tendencies. You also are seeing the stigmas that you are late 2 years for some unknown reason and are integrated in society through rehab programs, which unfortunately right now have social stigmas or disadvantages associated to it. We think that if there's a preference, we think clearly you ought not go to prison or do not do activities that lead you to behind the bars. Lastly, they said that children with specific problems will be neglected because they'd assume that, well, it's a good child, they go to school and it'll work. First of all, we think that it's talking about children with limited and with issues, which is a limited subset of society, which will weigh out with the general society benefiting. But second, it's unclear why it's better than the status quo, because parents do want their children to go to school and be good, and they don't want it to recognize that their children have issues, which means that the pressure for parents bullying their children for being unproductive, having ADHD, whatever, thank you, still exists. But also, having good behavior and having these characteristic issues is totally different. regardless of good behavior, if you can catch up with school, that would be obvious. That's why if there's an issue, a responsible parent would be able to go take them to schools or facilities that best facilitate them, or homeschooling or whatever that is available. I don't think this is an exclusive issue. But ultimately, these children are likely to be bullied and looked down on and receive the most vicious words and be in a denialist mentality because of the irresponsible children surrounding them. When people take this pill, there's far less people spitting out these horrible words, far less children bullying them or making them step on a stone or other random things just because they are in these other challenged schools. And we think that even if we can see the existence of the children, we think that in a polite world, they are far more protected and would feel less vilification for their existence. POI, CO, preferably.
Yeah, from CEO. Info slide clarifies the effect of the pill is just temporal. Don't you think it's more about like flu or fever, like 3 times in a day rather than annual vaccine?
If you want to set up, let's say the pill works for 1 year and you cannot take it for after you're the age of 17. How about that? So, parental rights. So, there's clearly an ethical and moral issue with lobotomizing children, but as my partner already hints to, that's already within what parents do. They can already lobotomize their children by choosing the religion or the community they join, which ultimately decide the preference or the, ethical values that they might form in themselves. Obviously, as a reason, parents are allowed to influence children in the ways that they are best equipped to raise because, all they can do is within their capacity, but also parents are allowed to indoctrinate children in the good that they believe in. Again, because parents have sacrificed a lot for their children, but ultimately that's, all the parents can ever do is to do what they think is best for the child. So to deny this principle is simply to deny the entirety of practical nature of parental rights and say, let's say, child rearing, and I hope the option does not talk about that. And also, ultimately, parents are allowed to decide whether the children exist or not based on economic reasons or other circumstances. I'm hinting to abortion, and why we think that children being nudged to or forced to do good behavior is a small adjustment compared to the strong autonomy that parents are given. And we think all the moral arguments that might come from opposition is not a winning substantive. So, practical. My partner's already talked about how extreme action can scar children through digital tattoos and haunt them forever with the reputational damage. I want to talk about more general behavior because we think this is not about extreme action. We think we're talking about people not being able to follow rules and, breaking rules even after they become adults. And that's not that children want to. That's just a characteristic of how they've grown up themselves. They might forget homeworks and be irresponsible. They might forget assignments in their work, but that's not their children's choice. That's their, laziness that they built as a habit because of the choices that they want, but that's not what they wanted. They might say careless gaffes, but that's their carelessness. It's not a habit that they wanted to build. It's just the communities, the surroundings, the ultimate, unconscious choices that build up to them. And most children regret that because they don't want to miss assignments. They don't want to say terrible things to their friends. They don't want to be seen as a bad person. That's why when you nudge these children to be responsible and build a habit of being responsible until 18, probably that will continue in the future, and you like it because so you continue on it, you are able to prevent children from feeling miserable about themselves. You reduce the risk of children being, unproductive. You reduce the risk of stigma. You reduce the risk that they will be, simply seen as an irresponsible person. That firstly leads to a better society because you see less bullying, less gas, meaning that there's less suicide that could happen. There's less depressive kids because of the gas that would happen. And other children still feel more comfortable living in a society, and that's a huge gain. But also looking at how children, it's good for themselves. We think that they are able to study on whatever they want. They can be evaluated on their preferences, and they'll be healthier because they do not take the most destructive choices that would harm them in the long term. And for all those reasons, because children don't choose to be a bad person, it's better we force them to be a good person.
Thank the speaker for the speech. And now I will invite the deputy leader of our opposition.
Okay. POIs on chat, please. I'll take POIs around 5 minutes, and I'll prioritize closing. But if I have time, I'll try to take both POIs from closing on opening. Okay, starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. As pointed out by POIs from closing opposition. I think government today doesn't have the fiat to say that this politeness pill works in a very good manner, because the motion just literally says that this house would allow parents to give the politeness pills. It doesn't necessarily mean that there isn't fiat for government to say that parents are likely to take this or parents are more willing to buy this. They need a mechanism, they need a substantiation to explain why parents are more likely to buy into this pill and use this. The mechanization only coming from OG is to say that parents want good children. That's the reason why they use this. I think there are many alternatives to make good children when you talk about parents, right? They can do education. They can teach rules that you set in households to make them behave in a good manner. I don't necessarily see why this pill is going to be a tipping point for parents to use this, because of the reasons I gave you. One, it's simply scary, but two, it's simply not tolerable for parents to manipulate children's minds and see your children behaving in an awkward manner. I think that's quite scary at the end of the day, right? Even my engagement, even if I buy the best case analysis about how being praised is going to last longer term and is going to be massive impact after becoming adult, the crucial delta is that there are things that can be praised, but there are things that can be punished but cannot be praised. It looks like not discriminating others. You're not going to be praised by not discriminating others, right? You're not going to be told by your parents that, you're a good boy, not discriminating black people. Or maybe you're not going to be told that, you're a good boy, not doing crimes. Teachers and parents do not praise people in that way. But on the comparative punishment, people punish something that is socially unacceptable. For example, when you discriminate people, people are going to be mad at you. People are going to be literally scold at you. I think that's the tipping moment of you realizing what is good and bad. Because you are given this pill automatically, you never know what is tolerable from the society and what is not. That is a tipping moment when you become an adult, and when you lose this medicine, you will be rather opting in to behaviors that are socially unacceptable unconsciously. That's the tipping delta that I'm going to show. Because in opposition, we can just scold these people that do bad things at that moment. We are more likely to protect these people who are going to be done harm by these people who are unconsciously doing harm outside the society. Right. That is a unique delta. That still stands, even if I take the best case about how this is going to be a long-term effect of being praised. The maximum case that we can take from government is a case where there is an apparent good thing that these people do. For example, being kind to others, or maybe being so nice to elderlies and so on. These kind of things might be praised, but not doing crimes, not doing discrimination. These things are not going to be praised. And that's the reason why children cannot understand what is good and bad, and they cannot understand the criteria within the society. Extension from me. One, about how society is not going to be more willing to interfere with the situation that these children are suffering in the status quo, but lastly, simple comparison about first, principal, second, kids, third, I think this is the most important metric, but which is better after becoming adults. About why there's a less possibility of these problems that these children have going to be solved. Because these children seems okay, there are less incentive and capacity of third parties interfering. Because if you see a children not going to school, if you see a children drinking alcohol, if you see children smoking tobacco, it's apparently bad and apparently outside the societal rules. I think that's the tipping moment when there is a third party interference. For example, teachers, police, other NPOs, NGOs that try to protect these minors. I think these parties can interfere when this bad behavior apparently exists. But on the comparative and government, because they take the pill and behave nicely, it seems like they are behaving nicely. It seems like they are having a good environment. There is a less possibility of third party identifying the problems that these children have. But on the comparative and opposition, because these children can express their feelings freely, for example, smoking, drinking, not going to school, or not being obedient. These rules are perceived by the society as some problems that these children have. I think that's the tipping moment when there isn't third-party interference. Why this third-party interference is good? I think government tried to explain how prison is bad, or how being scolded, or maybe how receiving sanction is bad. That is largely fraud. For example, being put in prison while minor is comparatively better than being put in prison after adult. When they fail to explain why these people are not going to be put in prison after becoming an adult, I think it's comparatively better on government opposition bench, because we tell you that A, these criminal records are likely to be deleted after you come to an age, but B, even if that is not true, which is more tolerable? Doing sins or maybe crimes while you were 12 or 13, or doing crimes after becoming age 25 or 27. It's obviously tolerable when you do crimes in 12 and 13, and you do not do another crime again. I think that's intuitively true for bosses who to hire. I think in that sense, I think doing crimes while minor is comparatively better on our side of the house. So they cannot just necessarily claim that being put in prison is always bad. Before moving on, closing.
This pill is not to make people crazy. After you get 18, you also understand, like if you are imprisoned, you will lose job, you will lose future. I think those like adults do understand, do have the reasonable capacity to rationally calculate good and bad.
Okay, sorry, my example was bad. Not only about prison, right? Discrimination or other rules that society sets, which are not going to be praised even if you do not go out of it. I think all of the delta lies on opposition, not only about prison, sorry. So comparison. First principle, I think this is a wash within this debate. I don't necessarily see why there's a parental like authority to like manipulate people's mind at the end of the day. And we told you that it infringes autonomy. And I think that is not an issue in this debate. But second, about the kids, I think they claim how kids are going to be better in their side of the house. Yeah, I do understand that. But I think on the comparative, we already told you that there is less solvency for the fundamental problems that these kids have. I think that is largely likely to be symmetricized by this metric that I gave you. I don't necessarily see why, first of all, why children are necessarily good in their side of the house when parents don't have the capacity to do so. But second of all, I think, as I already told you, even if that's true, in their side of the house, there's less solvency for the problems that the kids have. Last of all, the important comparison after becoming adults. In their side of the house, there are many rules or societal norms that children cannot understand or do not know simply because they take the pill. Not that this engages with the best case analysis of government, but on the comparative, on the other side of the house, at least children can understand what is good and bad by being scolded, by being imprisoned. On the comparative, I think we take this debate by comprehensively by explaining to you why adults metric is going to tipping point for the opposition to win this debate. Proud to oppose.
I thank the speaker for the speech, and now I will welcome the member of government.
Can I be heard?
Yes, clearly.
What has been missing from the opening debate was that why the pill is the exclusive and unique measure to tackle the problem that the opening government have identified. They said, hey, like why, like they said basically, hey, like kids should be acting socially accepted manner, and that's the like intrinsic value. Therefore, like we should allow these parents to have this pill, but they haven't necessarily analyzed why the pill is the most effective way to achieve that. Why having this pill as an option at the hands of the parents is uniquely important. That's a contribution from my side. I'm going to talk about simply one thing: why the parents doesn't have capacity to deal with the bad behavior of their children, given the consideration of the situation of these parents. But before that, several clarification about our stance or like minor issue from the opening half. Firstly, our stance: we don't necessarily think that it is likely that these people or these parents will suddenly use this pill like after taking this proposal. I don't necessarily think so. Like some parents might consider about the risk factor about using this pill. Some parents might eager to use this pill. There are diversified interests of the parents. Therefore, I don't necessarily think that all kinds of parents are likely to use this pill. This is uniquely crash into the analysis. This is in line with the analysis from the opening opposition when they said, hey, like not all the parents is buying into this material. But what we are going to prove from our side of the house is that having this pill as an option is uniquely valuable. Therefore, I don't think that's, like that's not conflicting to the arguments from my side, our side of the house. Second clarification is that the children, regardless of way of it, being socially nice, it's just nice thing. And we can't claim that, like that is a bad thing. We can't claim, that is not true to begin with. Children act in a socially accepted manner. It's simply good because that is simply definition of what's the socially acceptable behavior to begin with. For example, like doing like taking some drug, taking some tobacco is somehow socially unacceptable because that's harming the societal environment. That's not acceptable, right? So children like quitting smoking, that's intrinsically good, and that should be some like common goal from the government side and the opposition side of the house. Third clarification: what the DLO specifically mentioned is that criteria of what is socially acceptable and what is socially not acceptable is somehow like it's not gonna be understood by the children. Like therefore, like it is not good to have this pill as an option. OG have already told you that taking this pill and internalization of the social moral is going to be it's going to setting the core of these children's mindset. That means that I don't think this like don't understanding argument doesn't stand to begin with. So why the parents doesn't have capacity to deal with the issue that children might have in the status quo? There are four main factors. First, time, right? Like parents do some work and commute to the office, for example, commute to the workplace and spending a lot of time in that place and coming back to home, right? There's simply like limited amount of time that we have to deal with the children. Therefore, it is unlikely that parents can effectively teach your children to be socially nice person with limited time. Right? But second factor is that the emotional resources, right? Like many adults people are suffering right now from the mental bad mental condition, bad mental health. They might feel stressed from the workplace or like family relationship, human relationship, or like any other like variable material to begin with. And that is a moment where the parents is unlikely to have some huge emotional capacity, huge emotional resources to spend to their children. Like some parents doesn't have that emotional resources to begin with, and that is a moment this pill is a unique way to achieve the goal that we support from each side of the house. The third factor is that the external factor, right? Like local community or friends or like like the person they met outside of family is somehow uncontrollable variable from the perspective of the parents, right? And oftentimes these people are likely to be influential to the children because children are immature and these people might be like more closer to this kind of children, right? And that is a moment like parents, even if parents are eager to teach their children be nice, that doesn't necessarily mean that the children is going to grow up in that way. Fourth factor is that the relationship between kid and parent is not really is not necessarily stable and like solid thing to begin with. When parents scold their children, when parents are angry at their children regarding their bad behavior or socially unacceptable behavior, that might hurt relationship between the parents and children. That is for these four factors. Parents are unlike parents sometimes doesn't have enough capacity, enough resources to teach their children to be socially nice to begin with. Here's the reason why taking this pill is really, really important. 3 reasons. First of all, pill takes no time to make these children socially acceptable, right? You just leave them and tell them to take it, right? But secondly, as defined, it is effective. Like just simple, just read the info slide of this motion, right? This pill is effective. I think we can assume that. But thirdly, no impact on any other factor. For example, like if you're parents and tell something strict towards children, that might hurt relationship between you and children. But taking this pill doesn't affect any other factor, right? In relationship with your like human connection or like sense of attachment or that sort of thing. For these 3 reasons, the pill is somehow really effective. Any point from opposition side?
CEO, if possible.
Yo, go.
Okay, so don't you think like with this pill, the parents' free time and energy to spend with children will decrease more because companies will say, or you can just make them take pill without taking parental leave, or the demand for kindergarten will decrease.
Like, I'm not sure why is that bad, for the simple reason that the parents don't need to spend more time on our side of the house. Like, that's it, right? Like, and parents doesn't force their children to take that pill. Like, you just need to take parental leave. I don't necessarily think that the company is that malicious actor to begin with. Okay, the way in which we win this debate is that in filling up what was missing from the opening government, what they basically says is that like making your children socially acceptable is somehow a good thing, but they haven't explained why the pill is the unique and exclusive way to achieve that. What we told you is that precisely that part, and that can beat this round.
I thank the member of government for the speech. I'd like to invite a member of opposition to continue this debate.
POI があるときは、マイクをミュート解除して声を出してください。チャットは気づかないと思います。
I just want to note that the MZ, you are unmuted right now.
ごめんなさい。どこでミュートにするんですか、これ。あ。
The extension from closing opposition is to give realistic analysis of in what circumstances parents are going to use the politeness pill and identify the problem of parental discipline. We think we're going to prove why accessing to the politeness pill worsen the parental discipline and prove that children's independence when coping with socially unacceptable behavior will be decreasing. We think as long as the opening government considered that it is important by children by themselves consider and have the ability to cope with socially unacceptable behavior, I guess closing opposition's argument are going to be a flip argument from opening government argument. We're going to oppose to this motion. I'm going to do two things in my speech. First, three things in my speech. Firstly, I'm going to explain how the parents' discipline without politeness bill will be successful. Secondly, why access to the politeness bill worsens the parental discipline, and I'm going to explain the harm of it. Prior to this, I'm going to put one independent theorist to closing government. Closing government's argument closing government argument, which is based on the parents' free time will decrease more by allowing parents to give this politeness bill. But we think if we allow the politeness bill, access to the politeness bill, we think if the parents are suffering from the difficulty in raising up children, what the other active we're going to say is that if you are suffering in the difficulty of raising up children, what you have to do is to access to the politeness bill and make children calm down. Within the corporation, which will be a black corporation, will oppress the parents to use this sort of pill. Within these circumstances, maybe social welfare, which is kindergarten, will be accessing kindergarten will be decreasing. I don't understand why closing government argument is absolutely good in the first place. First argument, how do parents discipline without politeness bill will be successful? We think that I'm going to analyze the capacity and incentive of parents. We think, as my partner already pointed out in his point of information, that this politeness bill is the only temporary actions. We think this is not always have an effect on that making children politeness. Therefore, we think when children are calmed down, we think the children, even if some children became violent, or even if some children commit delinquency, we think sometimes children are calmed down. We think in that situation, parents are able to communicate with children, and through this communication, and what makes children commit violence or delinquency, we think this sort of thing will be taught in the communication between parents and children. And the incentive of parents is that if in opposition benches, inaccessible to the politeness bill. Within the parents' actions will be that because we don't have any way to stop the actions of children, what parents have to do is to stop the actions of children. Within this sort of incentive change will be a tipping point of outside the house. Even if these two arguments and the two reasons are failing, we think if the children, sometimes parents, if parents believe that I'm not capable of raising up children, we think these parents may send children to the mental clinic or school doctors. We think that this professional will answer how to raise up children. We think how in that circumstances, we think even without a politeness bill, parents' discipline will be successful. Given this, why access to the politeness bill worsen the practical discipline? Let's assume all these best no, thank you. Where parents have infinite access to the safe medicine of politeness bill, i.e., both in the circumstances, both parents and children easily and frequently take the pill. I'm going to illustrate this point. Firstly, about the parents. As opening government considered, parenting is so tough and which is succeeded to the closing objection. We think if whenever children causes violence or delinquency, we think parents are going to rely on this medicine. But B, children analysis. I'm going to give you a realistic analysis of children, why children themselves want to take politeness pill. Note, we think in objection benches, we don't have to support a paradigm where if children consent to take politeness bill, the children are able to access to politeness bill. We're going to oppose a paradigm where even if the children consent, the children are unable to access to politeness bill. In that circumstances, if children cause violence or delinquency, we think these two actions causes anger of children, which is stressful for children. From the perspective of children, I think these children want to release his or her stress. We think what the children are going to rely on is taking politeness bill. But secondly, we think, let's say more realistic illustrations. Children's behavior will be changing and owing to calming by taking this politeness bill. What this means, why this means by, and what do I mean by this? We think if children became calm, parents were going to love children. If children remain annoying, parents will scold. Parents will ignore children. We think these circumstances are likely. In that circumstances, children's belief will be my parents love themselves only after I take medicine. Because given that children's incentive of being loved by parents, we see that children are going to take actions which children can attract the parental behavior. We think the action of children will be take pill whenever they become violent or delinquent. We think children are going to become more violent to make parents pay attention to them. We think these sort of illustration, these sort of children's action changes are likely. If any PO is now.
Yeah, so even if communication after calming down works, it is inherently reactive. They already did bullying. They already did digital tattoos, right? We preempt all of those harm, no victims.
I guess that also taking politeness bill is reactive harm. I don't understand any difference between this point. Why is easy and frequent access to the politeness bill actually harmful? We think children will get stronger tolerance of politeness pill. We think even if the one pill in a day will be 3 pills in a day, we think the cost of the politeness pill are proportionally increase the cost. We think there are certain circumstances where children can take the pill. For example, even if it is a custom of children, we think some children forget doing homework, forget to choose blessing. We think for these children, maybe taking politeness pill are also forgettable. We think whenever they go to some friend's house or school trip, we think this sort of children unable to access to this problem. What is the harm of the failing discipline? We think that not only the health problem of overdose, but also the third party's harm are also likely, because that means, my analysis means that if children fail to take medicines, which means that children will be violent, children will cause delinquency, we think these third party's harm are likely. We think inappropriate discipline also likely, because even if the children will be violent, cause delinquency, we think parents unable to teach how to cope with the emotion. We think still root cause remain. We think children will be violent again and again. We think this sort of thing harm are likely in objection benches. For all these reasons, we probably oppose to this motion.
Thank the speaker for the speech, and now I will welcome the government.
Am I audible?
Yes, loudly, clearly.
I'll start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Our extension is to prove why parents are incapacitated for several reasons, which closing opposition misunderstood. This is so important because, first of all, this is important not only because this proves OG is not comparative, but also this proves OG didn't respond upper bench. I think CEO's POI is correct. That like if you're praised, then you do like a good thing, then this PO is not necessary. My answer is this: your moral standard is created by your surrounding community. What's praised is different in each community and different with each your friends. Therefore, what each children think to be good is different in their side of the house. Therefore, it's necessary to set a way for children that certainly follow the way what general society think to be good and grow in a good manner. In this sense, I think the parents' capacity analysis is so crucial because parents can't control children's behavior outside of the house. Then this also kills all the alternatives comes from the upper bench. For example, said education works, or CEO also said the parents can like let children go to mental clinic and so on. But because parents can't totally understand what children really think, because children are generally shy when they like talk to their own parents, and the attitude towards your friends and your family or your parents is totally different, right? I'm generally yokia in debate community, but I'm so inkia I say nothing while I'm in the house. I think this is so general in so many contexts. Therefore, I think our extension is so crucial. Plus, this also kills the OG's case because it's not comparative, but also this kills the principal case because their principal case is contingent on the fact that you can perfectly control their own children, i.e. the practical consequence, right? Therefore, this analysis is so crucial to stand their own principle because the OG didn't explain why impulsive action, which is to let children take pill, is necessary compared to general education or general in education in school or general education in house. Okay, talking about closing opposition, then moving on to opening opposition. First of all, on closing up, I would respond to response to closing government, which they misunderstood our case. Then first of all, they said corporate will be more exploitative because parents will have more time. I think this is misunderstood. What we actually said is that in status quo, parents don't have time. Therefore, they can't really see their own children. But maybe this won't change in counterfactual. But the result of education will be much more better in the counterfactual. This is what we said. Then they say corporate will be more exploitative. I think this is untrue. Two things say. I think this is symmetric because in the status quo, the corporation already so many people are already working to the full extent. I think they all don't have time in their side of the house as well. But second, I think they will not use this rhetoric. Why? Because probably the top of the board of the company also have the family, also have children. I think they also care about the family time, and also this kind of rhetoric can cause a huge backlash among the company members and so on, right? I think this is so unlikely. But secondly, I think all the CEO's extension is out of the debate. Why? Because their premise that this pill might not be good or this pill might not be perfect is critical knifing to opening opposition. because if because opening opposition is like all the argument premise is that this pill works. It works. Given the rule of the debate, I think closing opposition's case must not be taken. But third response, they said, children will get more tolerance to pill, therefore it will like lose like some effect and so on in long term and so on. But I don't think like pharmaceutical company are so crazy. I think they only care about those kind of things, and I think probably the like pill are made in the manner that like, it's so easy to let children to take. For example, the pill that like so easy to mine in like some food or some kind of like a like a pip, I thought. Right. I think the pill will be that kind of things. And I don't think like it's not like good like strategy for closing opposition to challenge this fiat. Then and also like pharmaceutical companies also have incentive to let their own pill to be perfect. I think there will be never long-lasting like incentive and capacity to improve the pill in of itself. Then I think closing opposition is out. Then talking about opening opposition, they said two things. First of all, they said if you want to be a good person, you need to make a mistake. I think they have the two wrong premise. The first wrong premise is that children don't know what's good and bad, so they will do bad things after 18. I think this is untrue because first of all, they're generally educated and also they feel the responsibility when they become adults because they say, even if they in prison is a bad example, but people will discriminate or bully someone. I think this is the same. If you like, if adults discriminate someone, maybe you might lose job or you might be so like kicked out from your company and so on. I think this is anyways the same. But secondly, I think the surrounding community also shares the same like same good manner, good and morality, right? Given that the children can be like grown, given that children can make community with the same similar kind of person, then they will grow in the good community. And given that this children itself is good person, I think that your friend will be also good person.
So if your rebuttal towards our case is education is functioning and there is no need for punishment, then that kills your argumentation, telling us that parents don't have the capacity to educate children. What's that contradiction?
I think this is not contradicted. I said while parents don't have the capacity, parents can educate. Then, but even if that's true, I want to compare or closing CG and OO. Probably CG and OO have the same level of solvency that we say pill, they say prison, which is better. Obviously pill, because they don't have to lose job, they don't have to like kill their own job record and so on. I think this is clearly obviously it's good for the children in closing government. Nextly, talking about like bullied children are forced to go to school. I think this is unlikely because I don't know. As we already calculated, I think the parents who use this like pill is not that malicious as like opening opposition said. And listening to MG, when you hear is simple or it's like or make the severe miscalculation of user in the counterfactual. I think it's less likely in the server house for the several reasons our like a member of government told you. Then even if they're forced to go to school and so on, maybe they have the other options, for example, homeschooling or not going to nursery room of the school and so on. Maybe there will be counselor and so on. For that reason, we win.
Thank the speaker for the speech, and I will invite the opposition whip.
聞こえますか？
聞こえます。
はい、ありがとうございます。ポイはチャットで気づくと思うんですけど、もし気づいてなかったら、ボイスとかビデオでお願いします。はい、じゃあ始めます。After framing the debate, I'm going to prove three things. Firstly, bad behavior will not disappear anyway. Two, pill itself is harmful for the children. Lastly, we can better educate children. So firstly, framing. So our winning issue is quite simple. One, we can better educate children without giving harmful pill to the children, then it's obviously better. Two, even if our alternative form of education without pill does not work, In the decent level, simultaneously, pill education using pill also does not work. Then it's at least better not to harm children by continuously injecting the pill to the children. Specifically, I'm going to compare with 3 teams. Against OG, they said like criminal record or they will be bullied due to the bad behavior. These harms, as pointed out by Atsuki, has quite high burden. Just one time of crime, one time of being bullied can give immense psychological trauma or the digital scar to the children. Then they have to prove even one time crime does not happen, which is obviously false. I'm going to deal with this point in the first issue about bad behavior will not disappear. Then our side is better because giving pill is mentally, physically harmful. Against opening opposition, their winning issue is that punishing is better than praising children. We proved but they didn't prove why actually punishing is better in terms of value judgment or in terms of functionality. We proved from closing opposition that it's better to praise children than it's functional and it's better in value judgment because punishing is harming children while praising is not. Then those punishment and necessary evil should not be taken. That's a winning issue from closing opposition against opening opposition. Lastly, CG. I think CG is quite naive, like too simplistic. Parents don't have capacity. They can't have any time to spend with children. They can't talk with children. They can't educate. Obviously, it's not right. They can go to kindergarten to pick up children. That they can talk to their kids while going back to the home, while serving dinner to the children. That they can talk what happened. Did you feel bad or good in terms of like fighting for tsumiki in hoikuen, for example? Then they can educate, obviously. Then we say that small amount of time is obviously sufficient and good enough to educate children. Then first issue about bad behavior will not disappear. 2 issues. Firstly, as motion says, I'm so shitsukoi now, but effect of the pill is not permanent. A pill for the ADHD have to be given 3 times in a day, or even if it's like the stronger one, that effect will last just 2 or 3 hours. Then after that, that effect will disappear. Reasonably speaking, effect is not forever. Then they have to take that pill so many times in a day, in a week, in a month, in a lifetime. Then obviously parents or children may forget to take that pill, obviously. 2, children have a reverse incentive to do bad behavior in order to get pill. Because who parents love is the children with good doing. It is equal to the children who took the pill. It's not me without pill. My partner already clearly proved that in order for parents, for children to get affection, they will do perverse things to attract parent incentives. That's why even if the pill is effective, they will do maximally possible bad things. Even if it's true that they will not sushiro pero pero, then they will make huge noise in sushiro and then become sushiro gaya gaya. We think it's the enough harm for children to get digital scar or to be bullied by surrounding individuals. Then the harm for government bench is not exclusive. Second issue, why pill is harmful for the children. I think CG neglected many points from my partner that the amount of pill will drastically increase from outside of the house. The physical immunity will increase as time passes, then the amount of pill required to have socially desirable behavior will also increase. It happens in the case of flu, it happens in the case of COVID. Parents will think that the children have to be more perfect, then they will increase the amount of pills. Children will also willing to take that pill to be loved by the parents to attract to their attentions. Then obviously this leads to several harms. Firstly, parents giving pill to the children is a direct identity denial because who the parents loves is not the ordinary children or the children without a pill, but they only love the children without a pill. They feel quite denied the existence of the existence at the end of the day. And also second, children have to suffer from the psychological dilemma. I have two me with pill, with pill and me without a pill. Obviously, they have different feeling. They have different perspectives or to view the world because they have the chemical effect changes every single moral judgment and perspectives of the children. They have to suffer from having two different identities at the end of the day. Lastly, physical harm. Drugs admitted by FDA give immense physical harm if it's overdosed. For example, the sleep-inducing drugs. then parents, children taking so many amount of drug is a physical harm, which we have to care. Acute headache, they feel choked, or the high blood pressure leads to like more atrocious diseases for the individuals. Then we think that physical harm itself should be the reason to ban that pill. OGPY, please.
ごめんなさい. So our benefit is that we prevent all of those harms and we decrease the number of victims, which is a larger scale impact. Even if you have mental damage, we don't think that is the as large scale as our benefit.
Have you never forgotten taking pills for the fever or flu? If not, your harm stands. Because just one time of forgetting the pill for this politeness pill leads to the bad behavior at school. So lastly, why we can better educate children. We told you praising children is better to motivate and in a sustainable manner. Even under our paradigm, we can praise children for the small improvements, such as if it's hikikomori children. Oh, today you went outside of your room. Then next day you went outside of your house. Then next day you went to the school gate. Next day you took test at hokenshitsu. Then finally you attend classes. Then pill is not necessary to praise children at the end of the day. This point already flips everything coming from opening government. And moreover, this motivation is more sustainable because children feel that I myself are praised rather than me with politeness pill who has different identity. Then our motivation being praised is more sustainable. Moreover, parents will be more proactive rather than reactive because in the government paradigm, parents will think that giving pills is enough, then they will care less about children's behavior. Under our paradigm, parents will carefully look at the daily behavior and the conversation of the children so that they can notice the several, like some bad feelings or some potential harm for the children is facing in the school. Then our side is better. Thank you.
Thank the speaker for the speech. Another round is over. So just wait for adjudication from each panels, and me and trainees will move on to the respective room, and so do the other people. Thank you.